Hello.
How are you?
I'm good. I was just thinking about animals.
Hmm. What about them?
Well, your name, for a start, has wolf in it, and I'm wearing a t-shirt jumper with a tiger picture of a tiger on it. So I was just thinking about sorry, I was thinking ahead of our conversation about animals and what they represent,
Hmm. That's interesting. Once somebody asked me, kind of like did this game with me, in which they were asking me um, how. I mean, like they would ask me an animal, like which animal would I like the best, or something like that. I would say an
Oh
animal,
no, yeah.
and they
Yeah, I
would
wasn't
say, What? Tell me."
No, I wasn't asking what animal you. I was just thinking. It was just. I was just having. But carry on, because this is interesting.
Yeah, so basically they would ask me an animal, and I would say this animal that I would just like feel very kind of related to. And she would say to me, no, 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 actually, let's say that animal is taken already. Just like pick another one. I would pick another one. She would say the same for that one, and she would ask me to pick another one for myself. And after three animals, she would say, well, the first animal that you said to me is how you view yourself. The second animal that you told me is how um I forgot that one. I think the second animal was how people view you, and the
Yeah.
third animal was how you really are.
Wow. Yeah, I think I've heard something like that before. I think that's just brought up a bit of deja vu for me. So obviously, yeah, it's how you view yourself, how others view you, and then how you really are. That's fascinating, isn't it? That's
Yeah.
I mean, I have a lot of kinship to a tiger because it's my Chinese animal, my Chinese horoscope animal. Um, and a lot of the characteristics that, I've kind of read about as pertaining to that animal for the year I was born, I do actually identify with. So I kind of do love a tiger. Um, as I've got one on my shirt right now, um, because I think I do kind of believe it, and I do kind of ask other people, what year were you born? Which is a bit over kind of general horoscopes. I go more for I like the animal archetypes. Yeah, I do like that.
Yeah. The tiger used to be my favorite animal when I was a kid, at least until like I don't know, like 16 years old or something from 10 years old. So yeah, definitely definitely that's a very interesting animal. I remember like reading a lot about them. Um it's very weird, but actually tigers, like the highest cause, like the most frequent cause of death for tigers is not being hunted by humans. It's actually because they kill themselves, like they kill one another, like in territorial fights.
Mm, yeah, I don't so much. I don't feel a kinship with the aggression that tigers display. I don't think it's that. It's not. I'm not a particular. I think I'm a docile tiger. I'm a. But I I'm an ambivert. So I'm both extroverted and introverted. And I think the nature of the tiger to kind of lie in wait in the bushes, is a very introverted kind of thing. I know it's hunting for prey, it's a hunting mechanism, but it's um I do kind of remain quiet and hidden and then I kind of leap out with kind of insights, and I display my intelligence. And obviously, I'm a performer. I have been a performer for a huge number of years. And my extrovert, I come out the bushes and surprise everybody with what I can do, and then I go back into my shell and regroup and find inspiration again, do my writing, and then I come out again, and I very much, that kind of that level of kinship with the tiger I can totally relate to.
Hmm. I remember, like, I think it was written on your bio in school that you have been doing like a stand-up comedy for 15 years.
Yeah,
That's
18 years, yeah, since I did my first gig in 2008, so quite a long time ago. And I went on stage, and my first ever gig, I spoke for 20 minutes, and they actually had to pull me off stage, because I would have kept going for another 20. I think I thought I was doing a one woman show for an hour, and they were kind of they were at the wings of the stage. Kerry, get off. Get off. And so I knew then that it was something I was supposed to do, you know, because my first one, I just could have kept going. Um, yeah, so comedy's a massive love of mine. Yeah.
no, it's something truly beautiful. And stand-up comedy also, like, it requires so much capacity for improv and for being able, like, to think fast on your feet. And that's something very, like, very interesting. Like, how has been your experience so far as like a stand-up comedy? Because that's kind of like every time that I think about stand-up comedy, I think of Seinfeld. Did you see the show?
Yeah, Seinfeld. Yeah, I don't have. Yeah, yeah. He's very good. Obviously, I'm British, so I I watch a lot of British comedies, but obviously I do watch comedy from different countries as well. Um, but I grew up watching the British classics. Um, and it's always been comedy for me that I've gravitated towards. And it because it looks excuse me, it looks really easy. It looks like they're just playing the fool, and they're just, having a laugh, and it looks very, but there is actually, when you go into the mechanics of comedy, there's a lot of skill. There's a high level of intelligence needed to come across as the fool. I mean, I've done a clowning course once when on my 40th birthday. I went to London and did a day's clowning course, and it was the hardest thing I've ever had to do in my life. And I've done some pretty difficult things, but being a clown for the day was incredibly hard. I mean, I have a degree in drama, and I I got told on the clowning course, right, Kerry, when we come back after the break, you've got to be more clown. You're not being clown enough. And I just found it just I wasn't I there was a level to being funny in clowning that I just couldn't get to. I mean, I passed the course, I got the certificate, but all through the day, the tutor was saying to me, "You're not in character, Kerry, enough. You're not there." And it just, I have the hugest amount of respect for clowns, because they make it look like they just put on some makeup and fall over, but there is so much more to it than that.
Yeah, the thing about, like, humor and comedy is that to actually make it work, you need to really understand what makes people laugh. like what makes them actually. And there's so many, like there's so many intricacies to it, because like you can get people laughing with certain kind of like illogical kind of humor, but at the same time there's the, for example, kind of like cringe humor, like you would see on The Office, for example. And there's a lot of different ways to make people laugh, and it's very, very complicated to understand actually what produces that that smile. It's just like
Yeah.
I've never thought about it into a lot of depth, but I know for a fact that comedy is way harder than drama.
Yeah, because because with drama, you're just playing to a relatively passive audience. They're just sitting there to watch the drama unfold, and they clap at the end, and give that's your reaction, is the applause and cheers at the end. Um, but comedy, you need to elicit a reaction immediately, and you need to keep eliciting that same reaction again and again and again. So many times in what is potentially just a 5 minute set, because that's how long most kind of open mics are, is 5 minutes. You get 5 to 10 minutes, and it's usually five, and you have to try and get a laugh every 10 seconds in that, which is very difficult. You have to hook them within the first 9 seconds. 3 seconds if you can manage it, but no more than 9 seconds you have to get an audience to warm up to you. And I think you asked the question, how was it for me? I did, because I did it for so long. I did become a bit of a master at improv, because I have a family. I have two sons, and they were young when I was doing it, and so they were my priority. So I just didn't have the time to rehearse and rehearse and rehearse. So what I did instead was write a loose theme for my set that was coming up, and then I would fill it out once I was there on the spot. If that, I would just make it up on the spot, and I would have professional comedians come up to me afterwards that were on the same bill, and they would say to me, "You just improvised that, didn't you?" And I would admit, "Yes, I did." And they were astonished. They were actually astonished, because they could not believe that I had just made that up all on the spot.
I mean, I can imagine. Like, there's a lot that goes into it, and just like the skill of improvising is skill in and out of itself. Like, it is hard enough already to make people laugh and to come up with smart jokes that actually land for people, but like doing it on the spot, like that's a whole other level.
Yeah, I did something very similar. Yes, I have kind of hung up my comedy hat. I'm a coach now, and I coach others to do it, because I got to a level of skill where I can quite easily impart that knowledge to other people, which is what I do now. Uh, you know, in terms of confidence and comedy, that is what I do now. But that did require me to stop performing, because you can't it's you in order to focus all my energies into what I'm doing now. I needed to hang up my performer hat. Does that make sense? But it's still part of me. I can't. It's still because I am, a master at improv. I can just create things out of nowhere. And for example, yesterday I've been I've got a hand puppet, I have a hand puppet that I've called Marty. He's Marty the mindfulness caterpillar, and I'm not going to get him out now, but because he's a bit of a rogue and he might take over the whole thing, and he's you know he seems to be replacing Kerry the comedian at the moment. He's quite well known on school. He's kind of taken over a couple of communities. He's posted some videos, and yesterday with his help, obviously, I created I just wrote a song and we filmed it and posted it in a school community, and I just did it, and it's got it's an 8 line song, so it's quite, and Marty sang it, and I don't think I'll ever hang up my performer hat, is what I'm getting at. It just comes
Yeah.
out of me, and I can't, I say, oh, I'm not a performer, I'm not a comedian anymore, and then stuff like that just comes out of me like that, instantly, and I can't stop it.
Yeah, we cannot fight our own nature. That's that's just the reality of it. And you're coaching now, then for comedians, like you're teaching them how to become like stand-up comedians.
Yeah,
That's so cool. I have never heard about that before.
yeah. Well, I created a 12-week program. Yeah, um, I just not here to kind of self-promote at all, and I'm very wary about doing that. But yeah, I
No,
have a
no,
12
go
week.
ahead. Like for me,
I have
it's
a
fine.
12.
Trust me,
I
I'm
have a
interested.
12. I don't know the rules of the game, so thank you for that. Just checking before I blast all my offers out there. But yeah, I created a 12-week coaching program that's broken down into obviously weeks, um, and each week covers a different subject to do with performing comedy, but it's actually a translatable skill, because storytelling is one of the weeks where writing jokes. So obviously I facilitate my client in writing jokes. I mean, I get them to write the jokes, write the material, but then obviously I give feedback, I offer help, I say this will work, that will work, because my eye can look at material, or written material, and I can pick out where the jokes are. I can know when it will land. I know when it will get the laughs, because I have that experience, and I do. It doesn't feel like coaching from my perspective, because I actually cry tears of laughter when I'm coaching. Um, and it doesn't feel like work. It's an absolute pleasure. It's an absolute joy to do it. Yeah, it's just it's my I've created a lot of things in my life. I'm very creative, obviously, but creating this program is and watching it in action, actually delivering it, has been a huge joy to me.
I'm really glad to hear that, and I can tell by the way you talk about it. I mean, also like you said, it's such a translatable skill, like storytelling and understanding how to construct the story and how to deliver it in the right manner. Like that's such an
Yeah,
important thing.
it's
Like
very
especially,
important. It's very, sorry to interrupt you. It's very important in entrepreneurship and business, because the art of persuasion in sales very much relies on storytelling, rather than saying buy this, buy it now, buy this, which is very hard sales, and very in order to craft a story. Uh, it has power, because facts will convince the mind, but stories will move the will, which is yeah.
Exactly. People buy out of emotions, they don't buy out of logic.
Yeah. And the way
And
to
there's
get them to
nothing.
that point is with stories.
Exactly. Exactly. There's nothing that truly moves the heart like a story. No
No.
amount of facts can do that. Exactly. And do you have any clients right now that you're coaching on this offer?
Yes. Yeah.
How long have you been doing it? Like when did you
Um,
start?
October I started with the client that I have now. We're nearly at the end of the 12 weeks. Obviously, I can't really go into too much depth about it because
Yeah, yeah.
as much as it, because it's confidential, but
And
in terms of her, but it's from my perspective, like I said, it's one of the greatest things I've created, to be quite honest, because I know that we both have a really great time during that, but it is instructive. I am facilitating and I'm bringing out the funny in them, you know. Um, I remember, I mean, what I can say is that at the start of it, she didn't think she was funny. Now we're almost at the end. She knows she's funny. So I have managed to do that for someone. I have brought out their sense of humor, where they didn't think they had one. So that to me is the greatest gift I could have ever given anyone. You know, the greatest value and the greatest kind of impact is to make somebody realize that they they are funny and that they can create humor.
that's truly beautiful. And it is of such value, like to be able to unveil someone and allow them to see that within themselves. It's truly powerful.
Yeah, yeah,
In the
because you
end,
know the world will knock us down, and circumstances and situations will bring us, you know, to our knees sometimes. But with humor and with laughter, we can alleviate some of that kind of we can alleviate some of that basically, and that's what makes life so beautiful is the kind of, you know, we can still laugh despite it all.
exactly. And I was wondering, like, what took you from comedy to spirituality as well? Like, how did you got into spirituality?
I've always been very spiritual, always. um very when I was a very small child, I would on car journeys, I would sit in the back and I would stare out the window at the stars. And I remember doing it quite distinctly. I do have a fascination with the stars, and I would often wonder if I'd ever been up there, which was a very strange thing for a 4-year-old to think, quite frankly. Stars at night and the clouds during the day. There was something about up, you know, that fascinated me about the sky and about the heights, that fascinated me even as a tiny child. And I was kind of I learned to read when I was 2, but so way before I went to school, because we go to school at kind of 4 or 5 here, but I knew how to read before that. And words have always fascinated me, and books have always, you know, been my greatest love. Reading has always, and I have just always investigated the spiritual world. Um, in my 20s, I became a self proclaimed Buddhist. Actually, much to my parents' amusement, we in on the census, the 10-year census, it says what's your religion, and I wrote down Buddhist, and they said we're not Buddhists. Why have you written you're a Buddhist? And I said, because I am one. I've read the Middle Way. I know about Buddhism, and I am one. And they just laughed at me. But I did kind of explore Buddhism quite heavily in my 20s. And I actually have the Tibetan letter hung tattooed on the back, just at the base of my neck, which represents the Buddha's enlightened mind. And I had that done when I was about 25. So I've always been interested in enlightened mind, having an enlightened mind, and spirituality.
Interesting. Have you ever read the book The Secret History of the World by Jonathan Black?
Don't think so. No.
I think you're going to love it. I
Well,
would
let me
definitely
write that
recommend.
down. The Secret
Let me send
History
it
of
to
the
you.
World.
Exactly.
Oh, okay, yeah, send it to me, and then I don't have to write it down.
Yeah, I'll send it to you on school. Definitely, that book was the beginning of quite a journey for me. It was the start of my spiritual journey properly. Have you been meditating? Like, do you meditate?
I tried to meditate, um, and I just couldn't do it. What I do instead is a mindfulness practice, because I find it much easier to do that. And I go out into nature and I take photographs and I experience that kind of no mind that you get in meditation there, if that makes any sense. But I can't sit and I've tried. I have tried to just sit and have no mind, and it just doesn't happen. Um, so what I do instead, yeah, is kind of go out into nature and be present with nature, and I take photographs of close up. I look at flowers very, deeply, and I have a kind of a mindfulness there, and I go into a state of no mind, and I try and avoid people when I'm doing it as well. My photographs don't ever have people in.
Mm. I mean, meditation is not really about like clearing your mind of thoughts. Thoughts are always going to be there, but meditation is actually about going back to your point of focus, to your anchor. When you sit down to meditate, what happens is that you start, like, let's say, for example, you're doing a meditation in which you're focusing on the breath, and you just close your eyes and you start focusing on your breath, and you're going to notice that very, very, very quickly your mind is going to wander into thought. Your mind is going to think like, oh, I gotta feed the cat, I gotta go to buy some groceries, oh, what I'm going to have for dinner today, and all of a sudden you're going to catch yourself, oh, actually I was meditating. And what you're going to do then is bring your attention, bring your focus back to your breath without judgment, without thinking like, oh, I got out of the meditation. No, actually that's exactly the meditation. Every single time that happens, every single time that you bring back your focus to your anchor, to your breath, for example, it's like going to the gym and doing a push-up or something like that. It's like a repetition, because what will happen is that your awareness, it will grow. You will develop your awareness, and at the same time, the time that you spend basically wandering into thought is
Yeah,
going to get shorter and shorter and shorter and shorter. They have measured the minds, like they have measured the brain waves of Tibetan monks, and they have seen how basically they don't clear their minds of thoughts. What they do is they focus on their anchor, on the breath, for example, and as soon as they wander into thought, like let's say this is their attention, right, like a straight line, their attention on their breath, and when they
Yeah.
wander into thought, they do this like very quickly. Like every single time they wander into thought, they just bring it back
Bring it back.
extremely fast.
That's absolutely fascinating, and it's quite um literally yesterday I wrote down in my notes to that mind is a servant, not a master, and you have to live in awareness, not the mind. And you just mentioned that about about being when in meditation, it's about being in awareness rather than in thought, the thought mind. That's what you just said, wasn't it?
Hmm.
And it's about, and I've also written down internal calm, not insecurity. So what you're talking about there is remaining focused on your awareness that is behind the mind rather, or above the mind. I don't know where awareness is particularly, but rather than the thoughts that enter the mind. That's what you're saying, isn't it?
Yeah, the thing is that between stimuli and response, there's a gap, and in that gap lies absolute freedom because you can choose your response and you can choose not to respond at all. And every single thought and every single emotion is a stimuli. And the more awareness we have, the more awareness we develop, the more capable we are of observing our thoughts and emotions. And once you realize that you, in meditation, you can observe your thoughts and emotions, and you start detaching from them, because if you are observing your thoughts and emotions, you are not them. You are the thing that is observing them. And
Yeah.
realizing of that will bring like such a profound sense of groundedness, because now all of a sudden you are not the weather, you are the immutable sky behind it.
That's that's fantastic. Yeah, it's very beautiful.
Yeah.
And that's very strange that you just talked about the sky, because I posted within my community just before I came on this podcast, and I said I'm about to do this podcast in 5 minutes, and I think it's going to get very spiritual. And I posted a GIF of the sky. So
Yeah, I mean, like the thing about spirituality, like I said before when we were talking, is that people think it's all about this kind of like woo woo stuff, and they really don't grasp what it's really about, and it's about the understanding, the profound understanding of human consciousness. And if you understand human consciousness, you understand the entire universe and the structure of reality itself. And there's a
yeah,
reason
definitely.
why.
Definitely, totally agree. I bought a book about spirals. Just that's what it's about. It's about spirals, and to bring it. The reason I love nature so much is because it contains many spirals, and it goes back to obviously the Fibonacci sequence, and
Exactly.
that is, and to think in frequency. Um, and it's all related, obviously. And but this book about spirals was absolutely fascinating, because they are everywhere. Once you know that spirals are everywhere, you see them everywhere.
Exactly. I heard once that the entire universe organizes around your point of focus. That's why when you're learning, for example, a language and you learn like a new word, all of a sudden you start coming across that word every single day. You're like, what the fuck? Like I have never seen this like word in like I don't know Spanish. That but now I see it everywhere. And it's just because you learn it and now you're paying attention to it. Before it was in front of you, but it would be invisible to your eyes.
It's the RAS. Have you heard of that? The reticular activating system. Um, when you focus on what you focus on, it becomes more of. Basically, it's like the yellow car. There's very few yellow cars made, but when you think about seeing a yellow car, you will see a yellow car. So that it's what your focus is on, and therefore, so with the word that you were talking about, that you've never seen this word before, and then suddenly it's everywhere. It's because it's entered the forefront of your mind and into your consciousness, and suddenly, your reticular activating system is looking for it. Because we only take in so much stimuli, and we discount the rest, and so therefore it's whatever is in the forefront of our consciousness, which I'm sure you're aware of.
Exactly. And the thing is that consciousness has very interesting characteristics. Like, let's say, for example, you go to sleep in California and you start dreaming about Paris. As soon as you like go to sleep, what happens is that you start closing up. Like um, you start kind of like softening your awareness of each one of the senses. Like you shut down the sight, touch, smell, taste, and everything starts going down. The last one usually, like the last one is your mind. Like your mind keeps running until you shut it down. That's a lot of people get like insomnia because they keep thinking and they cannot like bring their focus out of their thoughts. But once you have softened your focus out of every single one of the senses, including the mind, what happens is that all of a sudden consciousness has this void there. It's not focused on anything. And that's when you get like if you don't remember your dream and if you don't dream of anything, the thing that you will experience is that like you woke up immediately. All of a sudden, like you went to sleep and you woke up and it's just like, that was really fast. You didn't feel like you actually got asleep. And what happens is that when consciousness has no content to experience, all of a sudden it doesn't experience time. Because in order for it to experience time, you need to have content to experience. But usually you do have dreams, usually from the void of um, this space, consciousness will transform itself into something. If you, let's
Yeah.
say, you go to sleep in California and you are dreaming about Paris, what will happen there is that consciousness becomes Paris itself. But this is the thing: consciousness cannot experience itself unless it creates this illusion of separation. Unless all of a sudden you impose certain like consciousness impose certain limitations upon itself to create this illusion of separation, and all of a sudden you're one person looking at one street of Paris. You are the entirety of Paris, but you cannot experience that because in order for you to have an experience you need a subject and an object, an experience like an object and an experiencer to be able to experience that object.
Mm.
All of a sudden, like I said, you're one person looking at one street of Paris at a time, just walking down. And what happens is that when you become aware that you are in a dream and you start lucid dreaming, you start like you can do anything within the dream. You can just fly, break through a wall, do whatever you want, like bring someone closer or push them away. And if you do lucid dreaming very often, you'll start getting like this because lucid dreaming occurs when you become aware that you're in the dream. But when you start lucid dreaming very frequently, you will start also getting like a hard feeling that everything within the dream is part of yourself, and that's why you can move it like you would move your hand. That's why you can move closer someone or go through a wall like effortlessly.
Yeah, it's
And
fascinating. Yeah,
yeah, and I'm telling you,
very
like
fascinating.
now
My,
I want you,
yeah,
I want you to think about a shower. I want you to think about the water going through the pipe and coming out of each one of the small holes in the shower. Would you say that the water that is going through the pipe and coming out of the holes, even though it's coming out separately from each one of the individual holes, would you say that it's the same water?
well, yeah, the whole is the sum of the parts, some of its parts. So,
Yeah,
to get philosophical, deeply philosophical, which we appear to have done, um, yeah, that makes me think of that. Basically, you can't. The water is liquid, so it's very fluid. So it can separate into different you know streams of water, but it is all from the same source. If that's my thinking anyway.
yeah. Like
So it is
there
the
are
same
no,
water. It is the same
yeah,
water because it generates from the same source, and therefore it just splits into different streams of water out of the different holes in the shower. But it, yeah, at its heart, it's the same water, and then it can collect together again in the shower tray and become a whole pool of water again. I mean, if the drain is blocked, for example,
exactly.
um, if we're using the shower analogy, yeah, definitely. It's funny you should talk about dreams because I told you a little bit about that. I wrote a second book recently, and I had a dream, and I woke up from it, and it was a nightmarish dream. There was lots of flames and fire, and there was people bolting stuff down, machinery and fire, and it actually woke me up at 1 a.m. And I was awake for another 2 hours because I had this dream. And then it actually became the environment that my book is set in. So don't think I was so much lucid dreaming as I was having creative inspiration while I was asleep. I was having some sort of download while I was asleep. That I then realized very quickly was actually the environment that my fictional book should be set in. So I am quite fascinated by dreams at the moment, and what you can the fact that the brain never stops working, and the creative brain doesn't stop working when you're asleep. You don't, when you're creative, you have the chance to be creative even when you're in bed asleep. That has just it's never happened to me before, where I've created in my sleep, and I'm supposed to be resting, and I am a bit sort of I'm slightly annoyed because I'm supposed to be resting, and my synapses are supposed to be getting back they're supposed to be regenerating overnight, but no, I'm still creating while I'm asleep.
Yeah. Um, I mean, kind of like going back into the whole water and the shower metaphor.
Yeah,
If I were to tell you that the water is consciousness and the shower, like the holes, each one of the holes of the shower is a human perspective, a human
So
mortal coil
yeah,
through which consciousness is going through.
yeah, that's good. I like that. Yeah, that's great.
So, in The Alchemist, when they say everything is just one thing, this is what they mean. This is what the ancient mystics used to talk about. Consciousness is just one thing.
Yeah,
Everything that we experience is consciousness. Like
yeah,
the laptop through which I'm talking to you, like the cell phone, the house, you, me, is one dreamer having infinite dreams simultaneously through each one of us.
hmm.
And
No, yeah, completely agree.
that's why when people talk about manifestation, like that's why you can manifest. Like manifesting in the physical world is nothing but becoming aware of the fact that you are the entire universe.
Oh, yeah,
And once you connect directly to source, everything becomes a reflection of yourself.
have you ever read any Neville Goddard?
I have never, no.
Yeah, that's well. That you've recommended a book to me. I recommend that you read some Neville Goddard. Yeah, he was he wrote about 100 years ago, so he's quite a but it was fascinating stuff, and it was he wrote about manifestation, but in terms of I think it was very much visualization techniques, and he's fantastic. He's really great. He's he wrote quite a few books, and I've studied quite a few of them.
Which one would you recommend to me?
I think it's called Feeling is the Secret.
Feeling is the secret. Thank you.
I'm sure that's Neville Goddard.
Feeling is the secret. I'm going to send you the book I told you about, The Secret History of the World by Jonathan Black. I'm going to send you the name on school so you don't forget it. And please send me the one from Neville Gorda on school as well so I
I
can
will
have it.
do. Yeah, I definitely will do. Yeah.
Talking about manifestation and feelings, this is quite a like an interesting subject because with regards to like visualization, um, basically the whole idea of manifestation is that you have an image in your mind that you're able to invoke a thought about the thing that you desire. You're able to feel a heightened emotion regarding to that, like you feel how it would feel like to have received that thing, so you would feel like the gratitude or the love or the excitement of having that experience that you are seeking after. And the thing is that when you synchronize your thoughts and your emotions, there are two different vibrational frequencies that create these resonance when they are in synchronicity. At the same time, they create this belief within you. You are believing that you're going to receive that thing. Um, how I talk about it usually um, when I'm just like talking in general about these subjects and trying to help someone with regards to that, is that you can attract that thing that you desire by doing this. But think of yourself as a light bulb. If you are a light bulb and you desire 1,000 watts of energy, I don't know a lot about electricity or whatever. But if you desire 1,000 watts of energy, and I imagine this is a lot, you could explode the light bulb because it's too small for that amount of energy that is just like trying to receive. So the way that you can receive more is by becoming more, is by embodying more, is by growing this light bulb into such a big receptor of energy that can receive the 1,000 watts of water or whatever of electricity that is coming his way. So that's why they say luck is when preparation meets opportunity, because you can have a lot of opportunities that you're not prepared for and you will not be able to take them. Either it can even be because your own limiting beliefs, it can even be because you don't believe in yourself enough. Like for example, your client that said that she didn't believe herself to be funny until she started working with you. But the thing is that imagine that she had been offered a stand-up comedy gig or something, like a show, like a night show at a cafe. Like she would have rejected it, or she would have not had the courage to actually go and show up for it because she didn't believe herself to be funny. But
No.
going through this preparation is what makes her believe, oh, I can actually do it.
Yeah.
She feels confident that she can do it, and now when this opportunity shows to her, she will take it, and
She
she
will
will be
take
able
it.
to embody that
Yeah.
dream, that desire.
It's very true indeed. It is about embodying an embodiment, very much so, and it goes back to the reticular activating system, the RAS. What we think about, we produce, and and in order like you said, you have to grow yourself to be ready for that opportunity when it comes. Because if you're not ready, you might not even see that opportunity. It might not even come into your consciousness because you're not looking for it, so you're not ready, are you? So you have to, expand your awareness of like you said, to grow yourself, and become ready for the opportunities that you want. Yeah, that's really made me think. Yeah, thank you for
Yeah,
that.
yeah. And the thing about like desire is very interesting, because desire is this higher self trying to manifest into actuality. And when we have like this goal that we set for ourselves, what happens is that this new self, this higher self, is trying to manifest. Let's say, for example, like I want a Ferrari, right? It might seem like a very shallow, random thing to want, right? But the thing is that me wanting this Ferrari means that to actually get it, I have to develop certain character traits. I have to develop discipline. I have to build a business. I have to learn new skills. I have to do like this. I have to learn consistency. I have to be able to have a lot of faith in myself and to actually believe that this is possible. And I have to do this for quite some amount of time and put a lot of energy and effort into it to become the man who can have that Ferrari. And then if I
Hmm.
buy it or not, it doesn't matter because it changed myself. Like it changed my life. it changed the man I am just because of the goal I had.
Yeah.
And goals are character transformations. That's what they are. You are transforming yourself into this new person. But there's something very, like, people talk a lot about procrastination nowadays, and how much resistance they experience to actually pursue their goals and do the stuff that they want to do. And understanding this under this framework is very powerful. Like, understanding that when you have a desire, is basically a higher self trying to manifest into you. And you have your current self, which is the one that is already doing the stuff that you're doing, your old habits, your old patterns, and you now want to break those habits and those patterns in order to become this new person.
Hmm.
But when you are trying to do that, what happens is that you're basically, in other, like, in so many words, you're killing your current self in order to make space for the new self, the becoming self, to be embodied by you. And the
Yeah.
current self, like any organism, like, let's take it as an entity, doesn't want to die.
No.
And the only weapon that has is resistance. So it's going to try to seduce you into not do the work. It's going to try to convince you and rationalize things for you not to
But
do the work.
yeah, but comfort is the enemy of growth. So
Hmm.
therefore, you have to die to your old self in order to be born the new self. And what
Exactly.
you're saying is bringing up questions of identity to me, very much so. It's very much about who you identify as being, don't you think?
Exactly. It's all about identity. Like, there are three different types of beliefs. There's knowledge based beliefs. Let's say, for example, I know there's a cell phone in front of me. There's judgment based beliefs. I can say this cell phone is small or this cell phone is big. But what does it make it small or big? It's small if I compare it to, like, the headphones. I mean, like, it's big if I compare it to the headphones, but it's small if I compare it to the house or to the laptop or whatever, right?
Yeah.
So what makes it true or not? Let's keep that on the back pocket, because there's another type of beliefs which are self-image beliefs, and I can say I love this cell phone, or I can say I hate this cell phone, and all of a sudden that small belief of I love or I hate this thing becomes a little part of my identity. It's already, it's a way in which I'm identifying myself with regards to the world. Is how I relate to the world. And our identity um is conformed by our judgment based beliefs and our self image beliefs. And the thing is that what makes a belief right or wrong, not true or untrue, because all beliefs are, or judgment based beliefs are true and untrue at the same time, because it depends on the contrast, on the thing that you are comparing them to. But what makes them good or bad or whatever, or let's say right or wrong, is when we place them in contrast with our goals. If I want to become a millionaire and I believe that sales are hard, just a judgment based belief, and I believe that I'm bad at doing sales, that's a self image belief. All of a
Yeah.
sudden, those beliefs are profoundly wrong because they do not match with my goal. In order for me to attain my goal, I need to change those beliefs and start believing that I am good at sales, or I can improve the more repetitions I do, at least, and that sales are actually easy. I just haven't been able to do them right. Thank you
Yeah.
so much for coming into the podcast, Kerry. Our
You're
time,
most welcome. It's been absolutely fantastic. It's been my pleasure.
my pleasure. I hope to see you soon, and we'll keep talking. Don't forget to send me the books.
No, I won't. Bye bye.
Bye.